This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
Welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. Happy to have you here listening, watching today. I am here with Sara Thomas from August Law, and she does estate planning law. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I said that all correctly,
Yep.
right? Okay, clearly I'm not an attorney, but we're super excited to have you here, and she's going to share with us some stories. Also, we're still in the middle of my series that's around failures in business, and how do you fail forward? One of the things we talked about before we started recording is I really think it's important for us to talk about our failures in order to inspire aspiring entrepreneurs to jump in knowing you're going to make mistakes and not feel like the first roadblock you hit is like, oh my gosh, that's the end all be all, or I'm not going to do that because I'm going to make a mistake, or I'm afraid to fail, which stops a lot of people from, and I would imagine we're going to get into your story and how you started your own firm. And I'm sure that was scary, and failure was kind of always something that was looming over your head. But first, tell us a little bit about you, Sara, and what you do.
So I'm an estate planning attorney, which means that I do wills, trusts, healthcare directives, powers of attorney. I do a little bit of business law in conjunction with that for my clients. If they need an LLC or they need some business interests changed or whatever,
Sure.
I'll work on those as well. And my firm's been open about 3 years. I've been a licensed attorney since 2001, so quite some time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But this has been a really interesting challenge for me to have my own law firm. I actually never thought that I would do this, but I'm so happy that I did. And it's been a lot of fun in ways that I never kind of imagined.
Yeah, I bet. Where'd you go to law school?
I went to Notre Dame Law School.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I went to Suffolk
Oh, you did?
Business School, not law
Okay.
school, but we always had, if we could have dinner in the law school cafeteria, we did, because the food was always significantly better.
Well, that's interesting.
Well,
Okay.
it's just a different caliber, right? The law school was not the like undergrad cafeteria.
Okay.
So you had like professionals that were
smaller.
coming in,
Yeah.
and so you had to walk down the street to go to that one, but like probably a couple nights a week be like, let's go to the law school for dinner tonight.
That's hilarious.
The
I
law
love
school
that.
cafeteria. So where were you working before? Or
So-
probably several places.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Notre Dame because I really thought that I would do public interest law.
Oh, okay.
Like do legal aid. But I did that in law school and realized that my clients' problems were really not primarily legal, they were social. So I discovered that I didn't really want to do that. But I went to Notre Dame because they have this saying that they educate a different kind of lawyer. And I wanted to be that different kind of lawyer. I wanted to be that person that like really served the community and for which law was a vocation and not an occupation. So I thought I would be doing this public interest that was going to help the world and, make the world better.
Yeah.
But I realized that wasn't going to be for me. So when I left law school, I did business law for about a year, and then I did litigation for several years. And I liked all of that work. I don't know that I really felt like I was serving my fellow man. I thought it was interesting, but it was stressful. It was litigation.
Yeah.
I also didn't like the billable hour. That's how I got paid. That's how my law firm got paid. But I really felt like there was a barrier with me and my clients in terms of them wanting to meet, because then they got a bill in the mail,
Yeah.
and that made them mad.
Yep.
And I always thought, wouldn't it be nice to do something proactive versus something reactive? So I ultimately quit that litigation job. I stayed home with my kids for a few years. I homeschooled them for a couple
Wow.
years, which was challenging.
How old are they now?
They're now almost 19 and almost 16.
Oh, we're similar. I have 15 and 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they made it out. Everything's going okay. Yeah.
When did you homeschool?
My oldest, who's now just finished her freshman year in college, was in 4th and 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did. So Ben, my son, he'll be a freshman at Page. My daughter will be a
Okay.
senior at Page.
Okay.
But he homeschooled for 7th, 8th, and 5th grade.
Okay.
Went back for, I think we did all of 6th grade. It's all running together now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going to go back to school too. Where did your kids go to school?
Right now,
Or where did they go in Franklin?
they went to, my daughter's at Centennial now.
Oh, okay.
She was at BGA and we moved her to Centennial this year. And my other daughter is at UAB in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And now your oldest is at?
She's at UAB.
Oh, UAB. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay. So you homeschooled stayed home.
Yeah. And then I went back to work. I would have homeschooled longer, but I just felt like I didn't get the community that I was kind of looking for.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of our homeschool friends were people that had so many kids and they were running all over the place. And so it just wasn't, it was fun, but it couldn't last forever. So I went back to work. I was counsel for a nonprofit serving survivors of sexual assault. And I did think that that was good work, but my one and only client was the organization.
Yeah.
And I was the legal counsel, and I really missed direct service of people. So that's when I started thinking about doing estate planning. But I wanted to make sure that I could do it better and differently than I had happen for me. I joined this program called Personal Family Lawyer. It's a network of estate planning attorneys throughout the country. We do, client heart-focused planning. And I really feel like they've helped me do it the way that is better. So we're not just providing documents, but we're really providing advisory services. We're really understanding family dynamics and potential conflicts, understanding, the legacy that people are trying to create and seeing if there's a way to pass that down like in a meaningful way,
right?
And not just with paper and just giving people their names cut and pasted and calling it a day.
Yeah. And there's so many ways. Well, first of all, everyone should have a will.
Yeah.
And most people should probably have a trust.
Yeah. I mean, people always say like, when should I have a trust? And it's really not about how much money you have. It's really what are the assets that you have? Are you going to end up going through the court system known as probate to get access to those assets? And do you want to do that or not? So it's really about your preferences in terms of planning as to whether or not you're going to have a trust or not. I do have clients that don't have a ton and they have a trust.
Yeah.
So it really just depends.
Now, we're going to get a little bit into the technical stuff here because I do feel really strongly about this. Just knowing I'm not an attorney, but I do know we have a will and trust, and I know how it all works, and I know that you're supposed to, and especially when you have kids. Who would you say? What situation would be where you need more than just a will and you do need a trust? Walk me through some of those scenarios for like just an average person, maybe a business owner, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure business owners generally, you probably want to have. You may want to have a trust. It's really about the kinds of accounts that you have. If even if you're married, if you have a lot of separate property, that when you pass, it's not jointly held. There's no beneficiary designation attached to it. That's going to end up going through that court system. So if you want to avoid those accounts going through that court system for your loved ones to get access to, then that's when you probably need a trust.
Yeah, makes sense. So when you transitioned into will and trust, you first started with another company doing that, correct? Or
no.
You just said, so you did it all at once.
I did it all
I'm
at
going to
once.
switch did you have to go back to school for any of that? Or you're certified as an attorney, you can do any kind of law? Okay. See, I really don't know.
Yeah.
So you decided I'm going to do will and trust, estate
and I'm
planning.
going to do my own firm.
And I'm going to leave and jump ship. Okay. So how did that conversation with your partner or spouse go?
My spouse is incredibly supportive of everything that I do. And I think he was excited for me. My dad was an entrepreneur too. And I just feel like it felt kind of normal. And I really like to change things. I've changed a lot of things that I've done in my life, and it didn't feel like something that I couldn't do. And I thought, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. And I want to see, what I can do. Like, this is the next level of me, I think, in my professional life. And I wanted to do it a certain way. And I knew that if I worked for somebody else, I may not be able to do it the way that I want to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. My husband has always been super supportive. The first time I told him I was direct sales was my first business, but I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, right? Back in the day. And he was like, wait, what are you doing? We were both corporate jobs. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? And I'm like, listen, this is, I can't do this forever. Like I need an out from this. And I just think I've kind of exhausted that. So, but since then, every transition, every move, every expansion we make to the business or pivot, he's always just like, yeah, like, all right,
Go
let's
for it.
go,
I
buckle
love
up,
that.
let's
I
do
love
it.
that.
Because
well, he believes in you.
yeah, well, and I've proven that, yes, I'm going to be successful in it. So if I think we should do it, then we probably should. I do get shot down sometimes on ideas, but usually those are the wild ones. Typically, they're usually pretty good. But talk to me a little bit about the struggle you had when you first started and went out on your own. How did that feel, and what were some of the challenges that you went through where you could have just given up because it was hard, but you decided to keep going?
I mean, I think that getting the word out has been a challenge for me, marketing in particular. And because of the content, because of what the service that I'm providing, people may think that they should do some sort of planning, but it's not something they necessarily want to do. And they may dread it. Or they may just not know what decisions to make, so they just don't make any decisions at all. So I think trying to educate people that you don't need to be old, you don't need to have $1 million in the bank to do planning, that it's still important, has been a challenge for me because people still think you're supposed to be elderly. People also don't realize, my daughter, when she went to college, I did incapacity planning for her. So even if you're super young and you don't have assets in your name alone, you should still do some kind of planning. So I think getting that word out has been a challenge, and also getting people to understand why I'm different. I really do believe in myself and the service I'm providing. I know I do it better. I really love my clients, and I think that they can feel that. And I'm really lucky that I get to do this work in the way that I want, to where they feel heard and they feel like I'm walking with them in this process. I just had a client that signed her stuff today, and she's a single mom that just got divorced, and she was so happy to go on this new path of, she had her own planning now. She used her maiden name. And so that was really exciting to me to be able to kind of walk with her on that. So, so it's been challenging for me to communicate to other people. I am not going to just give you a set of documents with your names cut and pasted into it. I'm going to spend some time and some effort with you. We're going to create a customized plan that you actually understand.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people expect to go to an attorney, they get stuff and they're just told to sign it, and they do. And I don't want to do that. But the challenge that I also have is my process takes more time and effort. Yeah. And sometimes I do have clients and they start and they think this is a great process. They even pay me, but then it's hard to get them to come back because they do have to participate and give me some effort. Now, they're going to love it at the end of the day, but especially when you have minor kids or you've got 100 things going on, that can be a challenge.
Yeah.
So that's really been my biggest challenge.
Yeah, your biggest hurdle. What you're talking about, the brand awareness piece of your brand and what makes you different, is a struggle for all businesses.
Yeah.
And you have to have a good brand strategy of where am I going to be present? How many times do I need people to see me, this particular demographic? And that's a challenge. But 3 years in business and you've been able to continue to do it. And, for those of you listening, 3 years in business and still saying this is a challenge, right? This is not something that just goes away.
Right.
There is no permanent solve for that. It's like educating your audience on why you're different, why you're better, and why they need you is always a struggle in business. And so what we do at Stafford Solutions is a lot of what we talk about is you need to identify, and we've got a whole workshop we do with businesses for this exact thing. And we do a money back guarantee in our workshop. So if you don't get what we said we're going to give you out of our workshop, you don't have to pay us. And we've not had that happen yet, but we do offer that. But we also vet the people we're going to work with, right? But you have to identify who's your target customer, and then you have to talk to that person. And every business needs to talk in a different way, different avenues, different methods, different verbiage, because that customer is unique to you.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge for all businesses. The other thing that you talked about is the length and process and getting clients to commit to that, because we live in this, I call it the Snapchat world, where it's like, I want it. It's here now, gone tomorrow. I don't care about it anymore. I just needed it for that 1 second. And we live in that world where client calls and says, I want my will done, I need it done, I'm going on vacation tomorrow and I don't have a will, I'm sure you get those calls that you're just like, go to LegalZoom because I can't do that, right? Whatever that is, go online because that's the kind of levels. And that's better than not having anything, for sure. But getting people to invest and understand the process is a challenge, to be able to say, this is the expectation of what it takes on your part too.
Absolutely.
You're going to get what you pay for though.
Absolutely. And I also tell people this isn't also just you participating to get your plan. It's also you participating in conversations that may be uncomfortable. Talking to people that maybe you don't know that well about whether they may be a guardian for your children because you think they'd be a great guardian. You know, your kids are best friends with their kids, but maybe that feels uncomfortable because you don't know them that well. And so that can be a challenge too. But those conversations are so important. And if you don't have them and something happens, that's a shame.
If you don't have, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't have a plan for your minor children, well, why don't you just tell us? If you don't have a will and you have minor children, what's the process that happens?
So if there's still a parent available, of course, the kids will go to that parent, whether or not they're together or not. If both parents pass away, basically those kids are going to be wards of the state. And so if then, it will be a court process to determine by the best interests of the kids who is going to get those children. And I do offer my clients, if they do have a plan in place, the ability to also have a confidential exclusion. So somebody that they identify that thinks that if they pass away, that person is going to step forward and say, oh, I should be taking these kids. They would want me to have these kids. Yeah. And they can say, oh, no, we wouldn't want that person to have these kids for these reasons. Yeah. But yeah, if you don't have a plan in place, you are really leaving a lot up to a judge who is a stranger who just gets the information that's provided to him or her.
And that can take time. And in the meantime, what happens to the minor children?
In the meantime, there can be a temporary guardian, and it's usually going to be somebody that is related to the kids. Yeah. Okay. So there can be kind of an emergency temporary situation. Yeah. Now, if there is nobody available, then, they're going to be wards of the state.
Yeah. In foster care.
Yeah.
Support. Yeah. So, and I think to your point, it's not the same, but financial planning, I think people wait to do financial planning until they have money because they're like, well, I don't have any money to plan for, so I'm not going to plan for it. And that's a huge mistake, obviously. But it's the same thing with a will and trust or estate planning is if you think you have to be in this position of having all these things. I don't have anything. You have stuff in some way, especially if you have children. Right. And you have to be prepared for that. So what do you say to someone who's like, I know I should do it, but I don't want to have those tough conversations. I don't want to have to figure out who's going to be the executor of the will or who's going to take care of my children if I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tell people, you can either make decisions on your own or you can have a stranger make those decisions. Which would you prefer? Yeah. And, most people see that logic. It's just a matter of whether they're willing to take the time. And I think we all think that things won't really happen to us, that somehow it'll all be okay. I think people that have had experiences with probate or had experiences with family members losing somebody are more apt to get their stuff in place. Yeah.
I think we've had 4 or 5 wills. We've been married 19 years. So I think we've had 4 or 5 iterations. I mean, now our will just says everything's left to the trust, basically. Yeah. But it's important to reevaluate that as well. And a lot of times I think people do it once and then it's like, well, now it's been 15 years. Johnny's now 15. He's not 3 anymore.
Yeah, I tell people every time you have a life circumstance change, if your assets change in major ways, if your kids are no longer minors, or if the law changes, your plan needs to reflect that. So I meet with my clients at least every 3 years. If they're on my membership plan, they meet with me every year. But a lot of times they're not going to know if there has been a legal change. So that's something that, they need to come and talk to me about.
Yeah, makes sense. What are some of the challenges that you face when you're trying to have these conversations with families? Like, what's the hardest thing that they have to go through or figure out usually?
I think a lot of times guardianship. I think particularly moms who have to face the thought of, who is going to raise my children if the two of us are no longer here, and what might that look like. We allow people to do something called guardian instructions, which is really a template for the kind of support and the kind of how you want your kids raised. It doesn't necessarily have legal weight, but it provides a lot of guidelines.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say to me, well, I don't need to provide those because I'm choosing this person because they're a great person. And I'm like, I'm sure they are a great person, but are they going to do things in the way that you would want them to be done?
Right.
And so we allow them to have that template to kind of think through, when do I want my kid to have their first car? What do I want communicated to them about money? What kind of support would I provide for them in these different ways? Where do I want them to go to school? What religion do I want them raised in? So I think all that is really important too.
And that can all be done with your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit, where's your office?
It's in Cool Springs behind the Marriott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So when you went into that office, did you open the office when you opened your practice?
I didn't. Yeah. I bought that building about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
But I was in a different building before.
So how was that, opening your first physical location?
Yeah, that was exciting. My first location was not ideal, which is why I changed offices. It was just a little small, and it just didn't have enough space. But it was still exciting. It was exciting, and it was exciting to buy my first building. That was going to be just for me and for my staff. That was really fun. And getting to decorate it is super fun. Where we meet clients for the first time is more like a living room rather than an office, because I want people to feel comfortable. I want them to realize, let's settle in and get to know each other, and this is a safe space, and to have those conversations.
I love that. Did you have any challenges?
With opening the space? I mean, I have a challenge now in that I think we still don't have enough space.
Yeah. I feel like everybody says that. They buy a space or lease a space, and it's like, oh, we've already outgrown it.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter works for me this summer, and there's really not a lot of places for her to be if I have multiple clients. So we're already out of space.
That was already a challenge.
Yeah.
So many challenges we face.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you think about failing in business, tell me another struggle that you've been through that was just not, your business didn't fail, but that was kind of like, I learned from that.
Yeah. I think staffing has been somewhat of a challenge. I've hired a couple of people, and I think that I've gotten better at hiring. I think really communicating my mission and the values that we provide to clients has been really important. And I think I've definitely had staff that has done that, but I think people think that working for a law firm is easy, or I don't know what they think, but I think it's been a lot more challenging than I thought to find people that can be as detailed oriented as I need. Yeah. And I had to let somebody go, and that was really hard because she is a lovely person and had so many gifts. I think the content was sometimes difficult for her. And I think it just wasn't really a right fit for her, but it doesn't have any impact on her abilities as a person or her value. I just think it wasn't a right fit. And that was really hard because I really wanted to make it work.
What would you do differently in that situation?
I think
next time you're hiring, what did you learn from that?
I think I learned to make my job description a lot more detailed and to be extremely honest with prospective candidates about what I'm like, what my business is like, what their challenges might be, and just really put it all out there. What are my pros and cons? And, can you work with that? Yeah. Because I'm not perfect.
No, and none of us are. And I think hiring, it's interesting. We're hiring so much right now. My company has had a lot of growth. and we're consistently hire. I mean, my operations manager yesterday, we talked about three positions that we need to hire for.
Wow.
And it's like, and we've just been hiring. We just hired a new person this month. So as we do that, it's managing expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And my operations manager is fabulous at filtering and communicating and onboarding and all of those things. But I have found that the more descriptive you can be and the more clarity you can provide, the less room for error there is. And I actually have shifted my thoughts on hiring. Back when I was in corporate, I was kind of like, I know within 30 days if they're going to be good. And I still think that sort of can be true. But I also find with the world changing the way that it has and leveraging AI and the cultural differences, or I guess generational differences is really what I should say, between the Gen X, Gen Z, and and millennials, and just the gamut of the world today, it's not as easy to tell as quickly if somebody's going to be successful.
Yeah.
And so we really focus on 90 days. And that's what Patricia's like pretty adamant. Like, Lindsay, we don't know until 90 days.
Yeah.
And we need to give them a full 90 days to really, and I'll be like, no, or I'm not sure. But what I found is being really clear and asking for feedback back. What did you understand the assignment to be?
Yeah.
And honestly doing like on the job trial, but like we have somebody we just brought on to help manage graphics and, and some social media for us. And the first iterations of work, I was like, no, this is not going to work. Right. But then 3 weeks later, with time and coaching and development, I'm like, this is fabulous. Like, she's crushing it.
Yeah.
So happy. But you have to be able to say, this is a skill set that you don't have. And is it a will that you don't want to learn it? Or is it a skill that you don't have? And if it's a skill, we can teach you. But if it's a will and you don't want to learn it, there's nothing that's going to happen if you don't have the desire to do. Now, sometimes with a skill, you can't, because it's just not innate within you, right?
Yeah.
But everyone has their strength zone. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in not wanting to let go of somebody that we hurt both parties for so long.
Yeah.
And I've gone into companies where they've had people in the role doing the job inefficiently or ineffectively, costing so much money to the organization because they don't have a process in place to hold them accountable, which obviously we can come in and help them do that. That's what we do at Stafford Solutions. But also because they think it's kinder to not say something. And it's like, no, it's not kind to keep somebody in the role when they're not, because odds are they're not feeling good on the other end either.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like a relationship. If it's not working for one party, it's probably not feeling good for the other person either.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I do agree that it also takes some time in the roles that I have, because my firm is very technologically dependent.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff breaks, or we have to redo things in different ways. And I don't like any of that, which is why I hire people to do it. So I'm like, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to figure that out. And whether or not people want to do that kind of, makes a difference. So.
Yeah, I know. So I love the philosophy, Who Not How. Have you read the book, Who Not How?
No.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, they co-authored 3 books together. At least the last I checked was 3. I recommend the audio version because Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote the book. Okay. The idea is Dan Sullivan's. So Dan Sullivan had the principle of, I'm sure other people think of Who Not How, but his idea was leveraging who, that's not how am I going to do it? It's who's going to do this. Yeah. Not me doing it. Who's going to do it? So in true form, he had Benjamin write the book, right? He didn't write the book. He came up with the idea and had somebody else write, right? And in between each chapter, Benjamin Hardy interviews Dan Sullivan on the audiobook. So I highly recommend the audio version. But it has been for an entrepreneur to be able to, I'm a visionary, like I live up here, right? That's my speed. If I'm responsible for execution, it's probably not going to happen. Or it's going to happen halfway, or I'm going to forget part of it, or it's going to be not as effective as it should be. I know what right looks like, but to bring it all to life is not my strength. That's why I have a team.
Absolutely.
So I have surrounded myself with people that are really good at things that I'm not good at or I don't like.
Yes.
And we recently got new phones and switched to a different phone plan. I don't know if the last time you've switched phone companies, but it's really not fun.
It is not fun. I have done that, yes.
It's actually miserable. And I was sitting with my son and my daughter and my husband and my parents were having dinner in the middle of all of this. It was the night we were trying to switch everything. In the process, we lost our Apple ID for 5 days, got locked out of it. 5 days, because Apple just, has these handcuffs on you. And anyways, I can go on and on about the challenges we had. This whole process took like 3 months. It's like insane.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sitting at the table and my son goes, Mom, you literally like hire someone to do everything. Why are we setting our phones up by ourselves? And I was like, you are right. I'm never doing this again.
Yes.
I'm still learning every day that I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing, that I can hire somebody else to do. So I'm curious, in your firm, what do you have people do? What's your team makeup, as much as you're willing to share?
No, so I have a client services person. So she will handle a lot of that technology and the automations, and then also client facing.
Yeah.
And then I have a paralegal as well. And my husband is my tech person. I do have a phone person as well.
Oh, good.
Because I discovered that was miserable.
Yeah.
Even setting up voicemail and even changing things. I'm like, why is this so complicated? It's an online voice over IP. So I even have a phone person. So yes, I am not afraid to hire someone to do something that I can't or don't want to do.
Yeah. And when you take the philosophy of I can pay someone X amount per hour, that gives me my hour back. When you change your mindset to think that way, it really unlocks a lot of opportunity. And you've obviously been very successful in 3 years in your business. And where I find a lot of business owners is they don't want to invest the funds. So they're like, well, I can't afford to pay someone. Do you know when you had that unlock of I have to pay someone?
I think it was pretty early on because of all the technology that I had to put in place. And it was so frustrating to me to be spending so much time on support that I'm like, I need to invest the money in this to get where I want to go. And so I really do have that mindset is not where I am right now, but where do I want to be and who do I need in place for that?
Yeah.
So that's definitely been my mindset. And it's just so super freeing also for me to then be able to do the things that I actually really like doing and the things that I have more strength doing.
Yeah. What's your next hire?
So I'm hiring a new paralegal. My existing paralegal is going to stay home with her kids. So I'm waiting on that person's references to call me back. So hopefully that's happening. And then I think probably another attorney.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I need to figure out the space issue.
Yeah.
But another attorney would probably be next. I have been talking to other attorneys in the last year or two to see if anyone can kind of collaborate with me for us to do things that are a little bit different. Yeah. And just haven't found the right fit.
What are you looking for? Like, what would that classify?
I would love to find someone that either does Medicaid planning that I don't want to do. Yeah. It's really for elderly people who, don't want their house to go away if they want to qualify for Medicaid. Or people that do a little bit more business law. Yeah. So that I can kind of partner with them to do some of that stuff that LLC I don't want to do.
Yeah, that kind of stuff that you'll do, but it's not like where your really true genius is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What advice would you give as we kind of wrap it up here to somebody who's aspiring to go out on their own after being in the comfort of working for somebody else? What advice would you give them?
I think the advice I'd give is to really try to remember the successes that you've had. I'm someone that doesn't do a good job at that. I really try to think, okay, what's my next thing? I did this well. I finished this today, but I don't sit and reflect on the things that went well. Mm-hmm. I'm always going to the next stage, but that makes you just more unhappy. So I think if you can reflect very often on the successes that you've had, you'll realize how many more successes you have than failures, probably.
Yeah. At least that there's both.
Yes, yes.
Instead of only the negative or the obstacles.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just who we were talking about, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan talk about writing down 3 successes every day. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that I go through phases where I'm good at that and then phases where I'm not. another, and you can incorporate, I think things weave in and out of our lives. So just because you do something for a period doesn't mean you have to do it forever, and doesn't mean it can't come back in your life. But the important thing is I do wake up every morning and think, okay, Lord, what am I grateful for today? And that's kind of how I start. But my sister lives in West Haven, and she's got two littles. We're on opposite ends. I've got high school, and she's got first grade, going into first grade, and then preschool. And she had kids later in life, and I had kids really early in life. So we're like totally on opposite ends. But we will voice memo back and forth because it's very rare that we can actually get on the phone at the same time, right? Sometimes we did yesterday, but one of the things we like to do at the end of the week is talk about our highs and lows of the week. Like, all right, this is things that happened that were really exciting. And these are things that are like, I did this I'm really proud of. And here's some things that were challenges I'm going to face into next week. And so whatever it is, I love the point of highlighting and making sure you see the good in what you're doing along the journey, because it's an isolating journey. It's a challenging journey. And the reality is it's not usually a very lucrative journey in the beginning. You're usually kind of making a little and working a lot, and then eventually the gap closes. But in the beginning, it can feel like kind of like you're raising babies, and it's hard. They don't say thank you. And you're like, does anyone appreciate me? Is this ever going to work? Am I ever going to get it right? So I love that tip. Yeah. Highlight and celebrate the successes. August Law, I didn't get to ask you. Tell me the why behind the name.
So I didn't want a vanity name. I didn't want that to hear people answer the phone with my name. Yeah. So Augustus Caesar was a great emperor. August is my birth month.
Oh, what day? Me too.
18.
I'm the 19th.
51.
We're a day apart.
Oh, okay.
You're the 20th. Oh my gosh, look at us in the room.
Cool. Nice.
There's a lot of Leos in this space.
What does that mean?
A lot. That means today's going to be a great day.
Okay.
That is kind of ironic, though. 18, 19, 20, all in one room at one time.
That is hilarious. Okay.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And Augustus Caesar was supposed to show faithfulness and strength. The gladiolus, which is in my logo, is the August flower, and it's supposed to represent integrity as well. So those are things that I wanted to portray.
I love that.
And I thought it would be something that people would remember and know how to spell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because people don't think about that sometimes. My name for my company is Stafford Solutions, and that's because it was just the first thing I thought of. I was like, we're just going to make it really simple. No. We have Stafford Properties, Stafford Solutions. I had Stafford Skincare back in the day. Yeah, it just was easy. I didn't put too much effort into it. But I did think about my logo. I talked about this before. It's like, I started with the integrity or the infinity symbol, because I want business owners to know that it's whatever they want to do, anything's possible.
Yeah,
it's infinite. That. It's just about what you decide you want to go after. We can help you get there as an organization. Absolutely. So I love that. August Law. Well, where can we find you? Tell listeners where we can find you.
So augustlawpllc.com. I have an event on Thursday, the 19th at 6:30 at Suite 501, which is...
So this will probably not air before then.
Oh, it won't. Okay.
But if you tag me in it, I will share it out.
Okay. That'd be great.
But what kind of event is it now? I want to know.
So it's a wine and wills. I typically do those sometimes every month. I took a couple of months off just because we were busy.
Life was crazy.
So if you want to find... Well, I don't need to share that if.
But there'll be others, right? So you have those events.
Others.
What do you do at those events?
So I share just general estate planning. Okay. A lot of times, if it's at night, we have wine, charcuterie. Sometimes I do lunches, so it's a lunch and learn. I'm thinking of doing other types of things. I've done a play date in planning where I did one at Monkey's Treehouse.
Oh, cool.
So I'm looking to do more things like that too, just to be able to cater to younger people who really it's most incumbent on them to get their planning done. So you can find me augustlawpllc.com. Same thing for Facebook, August Law PLLC, Instagram. I have TikTok.
Awesome.
Also as well. So, and YouTube, August Law PLLC.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you here. Thank you for the work that you're doing. It's so important that people plan for their future.
Thank you.
And really awesome approach to wanting to take care of everybody and do it differently and do it the way that you feel is the best way.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thank you for tuning in, for watching, for listening. If you found value, we ask that you like, rate, comment, review, and share.